Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a solo hot tent overnighter at a backcountry lake location. And as you can tell by my hoodie, it is cold out today. So it's going down to about -2 degrees Celsius tonight is what the forecast is going to be. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Now, I did bring a very unique kit for today's trip. As you'll notice, my backpack was totally stuffed with a wood stove and a tent and many other items. What I ended up doing is bringing a non-folding wood stove, and I put all of my cooking gear inside of that stove. The benefits of that is, one, the wood stove is totally, absolutely lightweight, and it's rigid, so I don't have to assemble the stove. I just got to throw the tent up, throw the wood stove in there, and I'm ready to go. So I did have to put a lot of my items inside of the stove to buy back a little bit of space inside of the backpack, but I'm actually surprised how well it worked. Now, I do have my sleeping gear that I still have to get set up. So I do have my Topqulit, my down pants, I've got my sleeping pad, and I've even brought a little ground sheet to put on the ground because I did not bring the inner tent. So I'm going to continue getting this stuff set up in the tent, and then I think it's going to be time to collect firewood because it is very cold out here. I am literally on the edge of a lake, and it is going to be windy later on this evening, and it's wet and rainy out here. So I want to get all this stuff inside the tent, show you guys what it looks like, get everything set up, and then continue on with wood processing and collecting. Alright guys, well I've got all my firewood prep pretty much done. I've got an outdoor fire pit here that I've just got loaded full of small twigs and sticks. I still have to collect some birch bark to get that in there to get the fire going. Now the reason why I'm doing an outdoor fire, not because it's cold, not because I need light from a campfire, but I'm actually going to be cooking meat on a grill over top of the flames. And then I'm going to be doing the rest of my cooking likely inside of the tent later on this evening. So I have longer pieces that I've cut for the outside fire. For the inside fire, I've actually cut them a little shorter than the length of the stove because I don't want that tent too hot. The stove I brought is a longer stove. It can heat a very large tent, but I don't want to be loading in really long pieces and have a big fire inside of there in a small tent because I don't want to break out in a sweat. So I've actually cut them probably about 12 inches in length, I want to say, and realistically, this is what would fit inside of the stove. So long pieces for outside, short pieces for the inside to control the heat inside of the tent. I do need to get this going to cook some food over it shortly. But before I do that, I need to collect some birch bark. So let's go grab some birch bark, get that in there, and do a little bit more prep around camp, and then we'll get ready to cook some supper. Alright, so I've got a pretty good score here for some birch bark. I got a really dead tree over here and a really live tree actually. This tree is pretty good health. Now, often I get asked, does peeling bark off the tree kill the tree? The answer to that is no, not if you do it properly. So you'll notice I'm only peeling the shedding bark. The large sheets that are coming off, these blow off naturally in high winds, and it leaves this more solid bark underneath. Now this is what you don't want to remove, and you don't want to have to use a knife to cut into the tree to peel it off. These trees naturally shed bark like crazy, so if you could just grab the layer that's shedding, it's almost like a sunburn on your body. It's going to shed the dead bark, it's going to shed the dead skin. So the difference between bark from a live tree, like I've got right here, versus bark from a totally dead tree is a lot of this is soaking wet, and it doesn't have the oils inside of it anymore that make birch bark burn so hot. So often you want to find the bark off of the newer trees. They're more of kind of a pinkish color on the inside, and it has a lot of the oils in the bark, which burns really, really hot. So I'm not going to collect a whole lot off of one tree. I do like to go around and collect little bits off of other trees that are shedding. So I've pretty much got enough here though for the inside fire for today and the outside fire for tonight. I'll probably grab double this for in the morning for the wood stove. But that's all I'm going to take off of this tree. I'll go through the forest. There's all kinds of trees around here that I can harvest off of, taking only the shedding bark. Alright, so with this campfire lit, I've got my pot propped up on a stick hanging over top of the fire. That does need to come to a full boil because it is lake water and I don't want to risk getting sick. So while this is burning down, I might as well take advantage of those big large flames, get that pot boiled up, make up a fresh cup of coffee, and once that burns down, hopefully I'll be able to get the grill over top and get some meat on there cooking away, because it is getting rather windy out right now and I don't want to push my luck with the weather. Really don't want to be crunched over this fire cooking meat in the rain. So gonna bring this up to a full boil. It is putting off a lot of heat, and it's that time of the year now where sitting next to the campfire is actually enjoyable. So get that boiled up. While it's doing that, I might as well get my coffee kit out and start on the coffee beans. Alright guys, well I've got my hot cup of coffee on the go right now, and this is actually really awesome. So this is no ordinary cup of coffee. This is the very first time I've tried this flavor. Guess what flavor it is? Lock your guess down in the comment section right now. I'm going to tell you what it is, and it's the very first time I've actually opened up this coffee bag at home, brought the beans out here today, ground them up, and oh my goodness, is it ever good. So, your guesses are locked in. It is pumpkin. Like actual legit pumpkin flavor coffee. Not that pumpkin spice stuff that you get from Starbucks and that sugary nastiness. This tastes like a whole organic pumpkin in my cup of coffee. It smells just like the smell on your hand when you're carving Halloween pumpkins and you smell that real pungent pumpkin taste and smell. That's what this is like, and it is absolutely awesome. I'm really glad I brought this out today on such a cool, crisp autumn day. The leaves are still falling out of the trees. Got the big old sweater on. It's nice and cool out. Hot cup of pumpkin coffee. Got my rock chair, campfire in front of me. I'm enjoying this. So cheers, guys. I'm going to enjoy my coffee for a few moments, and then we're going to start cooking some campfire food over that campfire. So cheers. Alright, so while that meat's cooking away over top of the fire, I might as well get some of these sticks prepped up for the wood stove. This stuff is absolutely crazy dry. These are the lower limbs on pine trees and spruce trees. Listen to the snap. Like, they are just absolutely bone dry. And this is the stuff that I like to use to get my wood stoves going and to intentionally get them to flare up. So if you do need a kick of heat, for example, if you're boiling water or if you just need the tent to get really hot really quickly, these lower limbs, or even the higher limbs for that matter, on pine and spruce trees that just, they don't have any bark on them, they're totally dead, totally dry. They burn very, very hot, very fast. They're almost like 5 minutes and they're gone. So they're not something you want to burn all the time. But if you need that instant heat, it works really well. So I'm just going to get these broken down to stove length and basically get that prepped up so when I am done eating, I don't have to mess around with this, because I imagine it'll be dark shortly after I'm done cooking food and eating, and I want to be jumping in the tent without messing around with the headlamp on and all that stuff. So I'm going to get all this stuff prepped up, get the wood stove loaded, get some birch bark in there, and all I got to do afterwards is throw a match in there and we'll have the stove burning. All right, guys, supper is all done, and I gotta say, 2 thumbs up on that. Really good. I got the grill still sitting in the fire, burning off any residue of food and scent. And after kind of looking around camp and reevaluating things, I don't think I'm gonna need all this wood that I cut up for the outside fire realistically. So instead of letting it go to waste, I'm just knocking off all these little branches so I can get it in the wood stove a little bit easier. And that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to put them in the wood stove because they are cut to stove length just about. So I've got 2 of them there. I am going to throw this big one on the fire though. And I got 2 more behind me now. This guy looks like it's probably pushing the length of the stove, so I don't think that'll fit, but the other one behind me looks like it will fit. So I'm just going to get these branches knocked off and get them inside of the tent and get them ready for this evening. It is getting dark rather quickly and the winds are starting to pick up slightly, so I think there might be some weather rolling in, and I really don't want to get caught in it outside if I don't have to. So I'm going to get all this taken care of, get it moved over towards the tent, and do one final cleanup outside, and then sit down for a little bit and see where we're at for time. All right, so I've got the wood stove burning right now, and it is actually getting dark really quickly. I know it might not look that way on camera. I've got the settings cranked, but it is getting dark really quickly here, and I've got to get this light set up. So normally I have the mesh inner installed in the tent. Today I didn't bring it, so I'm just kind of looking around for ideas of how to keep this wire off of the center pole and out of my face. Well, these loops to hold the door open, there are doors on the other side of the tent, and the doors are currently shut, so there are some vacant loops on the inside of the tent. I'm just going to pass this wire down through that, which will keep the battery bank off away from the stove over towards my head end, and I'll be able to turn the light on and off as I please. So that's going to be the way I'm going to be doing it this evening. Now I do have all my clothing in here. I got some slippers as well, which are always enjoyable in the tent. Keep my feet nice and warm when I'm not in my sleeping bag. Now today I actually didn't bring a bag. I brought a top quilt, so this is going to be my sleep system for this evening. The pad and the top quilt. I imagine it's going to be really warm in here with the stove going. I'm probably not even going to take this out of the stuff sack until it's time to go to sleep. And when I go to sleep, whether it's fall, spring, or winter time with the stove, I always let it die out because I have no ambition to wake up every 2 hours or 3 hours to put wood in the stove. I'm just going to rely on my sleep system to keep me warm, and then in the morning time I'll grab some wood, light the stove again, make up some breakfast, and go from there. So I'm going to be getting this lighting hooked up right now, and then I'm going to jump in and I'm just going to get changed out of my clothing, and I'll bring you guys in as soon as I'm all done with that. All right, so I'm all changed into some nice fresh clothing. I got my base layer pants on. I've got my slippers, new socks. This hoodie is going to be coming off any second, guys. It is really warm in here. So I'm going to let the stove burn, probably let it burn down really, really low. I do have some water in my pot. I'm going to get that on top of there very shortly though, and cook up some ramen noodles because I'm going to be eating a little bit in here, and I'm probably going to be up for another 2 hours realistically. But I'm going to watch a movie is what I'm going to do, but I don't want to be sitting here with all of that heat just pounding into me. So I'm going to let that burn down quite a bit. It is getting colder though, I will say that. The temperature is coming down, and I've got a whole bunch of hardwood that I sourced from the woods earlier. So I got hardwood, and I even got some softwood logs that I didn't burn outside. So I've got plenty of wood for tonight and in the morning. I even got some birch bark and some twigs set off to the side. So early in the morning, I'll be able just to kind of roll over, grab that, pop it in the stove, and get a fire going right away for coffee. So I'm going to be in relax mode for the rest of the evening. That means the camera is going to get shut off, and I do have one movie on my phone I want to watch, and basically just enjoy some nice quiet camp life. One thing I will say, this wire, I have it routed all the way down. It is working really, really well. That tied in really nicely there. It's not in my face at all. The battery bank is situated behind me, so it's easy on, easy off, and it's giving a lot of light. So like I said, I'm just going to relax for the rest of the evening, guys. Damp this stove down because it's getting really hot in here. And I'll see you guys first thing in the morning for coffee. Good night, guys. Good morning, guys. It is a beautiful sunny morning out here today on the edge of the lake. I've got the wood stove inside of the tent just rocking out some serious heat. So hot that I have to have the door open because it is just too hot inside of there. So we've got the sun rising on the other side of the lake coming up, burning off some of that mist and fog out on the water, which is pretty awesome. I've got a hot cup of coffee on the go right now, and I've got a hot cereal packet on the go. And it got very, very chilly last night, so it got down to 0 degrees. There was a tiny bit of frost on these rocks when I opened up the door this morning, and that is it. It didn't get down to negative, just barely hit 0, a little bit of frost, and I felt that when I woke up and I tossed that top quilt off. It was pretty chilly, so I got the stove going right away, and I did bring my down pants, but you guys will notice I'm not wearing them, so that's how hot it is inside of the tent right now. Just all that air lofting out behind me is just really, really nice. It's crisp and cool outside, hot inside, so it's kind of an interesting mix. But I'm gonna chill out for a few moments, and basically I'm just gonna enjoy my breakfast, my hot coffee, and enjoy the view of the lake. And then I'm gonna slowly start packing up and getting dressed because it is gonna get cold once I do make my way out of the tent. So I'm gonna enjoy breakfast, guys, some coffee, and then I'm gonna get dressed. Okay, so here we are, totally packed up. I've got everything inside of the backpack, and I hope me showing you guys how to pack a non-folding stove is beneficial to you. It doesn't have to be this exact stove or the brand. It could be any fixed shape. It doesn't even have to be a stove realistically. I just wanted to show how to get that in there and basically safe travel so you guys can hear it. Packed inside of there, and what I like to do is put my saw on the outside of it, as well as the center pole of the tent is actually riding on the sides. And then like I mentioned earlier, the glass is facing that way, and I've got all my down insulation on that side. And this helps create a little bit of a cage in there, so it's got some rigidity and it's really protected. So everything's inside of there. This has been a trip that I've wanted to do for a while, a larger stove, non-folding, just to see what the benefits are. And I gotta say, it sets up very quickly. Even if it was raining or snowing or blowing wind, you can get that thing set in the tent and fired up really quick. Like I said, doesn't matter the brand, just wanted to show how this can fit inside of a smaller backpack as well. Hot tenting doesn't have to be a large loadout. You can go hot tenting with smaller loadouts all winter long. So if you guys notice behind me, the entire area is totally clean. That is the way it should be whenever you leave camp. I've cleaned up all of my wrappers. They're all in my pocket and in my backpack from food. All the birch bark's picked up, and all the firewood is set over by the fire pit for next time. Hopefully it'll be there for me. If not, somebody else can enjoy it. So that is all I got for this adventure. I'm gonna peace out. I've got to get back to my truck and head out for another camping trip, because you know I never do 1 or 2 nights. I'm always out multiple nights. So peace out, guys. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next one.